They lied to you. Africa is not the real name of this land. The whisper beneath the desert wind moved like a living memory, brushing against the cracked earth as though it was trying to speak. In the northern stretch of an ancient land, far beyond modern maps and forgotten borders, stood a young historian named Cairo. Was not like the others. While his peers chased recognition in polished cities, he chased silence. Old silence, the kind buried beneath ruins, hidden inside stones, and whispered through ancestral dreams. He stood before a half-buried monolith, its surface carved with symbols older than any language he had ever studied. The sun hung low, casting long shadows that made the carvings seem to shift as if alive. His fingers traced the markings. They did not resemble anything labeled African in textbooks. These symbols spoke of something erased. A local elder had once told him, "The land you stand on, it has a name, but it is not the one they gave it." At the time, Cairo had dismissed it as folklore, but now, standing here, feeling the ground hum beneath his feet, he wasn't so sure. As the wind rose, a faint sound echoed, almost like a voice, not in words, but in memory. And for the first time, Cairo realized something unsettling. What if everything he had been taught was a lie? The map that should not exist night fell quickly, wrapping the desert in a blanket of cold darkness. Cairo lit a small lantern inside his tent, its flickering glow revealing the object he couldn't stop staring at. A map, not printed, not drawn in ink. It was etched into a sheet of worn leather, its edges frayed with time. He had found it hidden beneath the monolith, sealed in a stone compartment that should not have existed. The map did not say Africa. Instead, a single word stretched across the landmass. Bold, deliberate, undeniable. Alkebulan. Cairo whispered the word under his breath. It felt heavy, ancient, true. His heartbeat quickened. The map showed rivers that no longer flowed, cities that no longer stood, and pathways connecting regions in ways modern borders never could. It was a version of the land untouched by colonization, untouched by erasure. As his eyes scanned the markings, he noticed something else. Symbols identical to those on the monolith, and at the center of the map, a location marked with a place that pulsed with significance. Cairo leaned closer. Then the air inside the tent grew thick, heavy, and from the shadows a voice emerged. Low, ancient, and unmistakably real. "You have found what was hidden." Cairo froze. He was no longer alone. The guardian of forgotten truths. The lantern went out. Darkness swallowed everything. Cairo's breath caught in his throat as the air shifted, charged with a presence that felt both terrifying and familiar. Slowly, a faint glow began to form in the corner of the tent. Soft at first, then growing stronger. A figure emerged, tall, draped in flowing garments that shimmered like starlight. Their face was partially hidden, but their eyes held centuries. "I am not your enemy," the figure said calmly. Cairo forced himself to speak. "What is this place? What is that name?" The figure stepped closer, their voice steady. "This land was never called Africa. That name was given, not born." Cairo's mind raced. "Then what is its true name?" The figure gestured toward the map. "Alkebulan, the garden where the first footsteps were taken." The words hit Cairo like a wave. This truth was buried. The figure continued. "Rewritten, replaced. Not just the name, but the identity of the land itself." Cairo clenched his fists. "Why?" The figure's gaze hardened. "Because names hold power, and to rename a land is to reshape its story." Silence filled the space. Then the figure spoke again, quieter now. "And you, Cairo, have begun to uncover what they worked so hard to erase." Echoes of a stolen identity dawn broke slowly, painting the horizon in shades of gold and crimson. Cairo stepped outside the tent, the cold air grounding him after the surreal encounter. But the figure was gone, or perhaps never truly there. The map remained in his hands, and the word Alkebulan echoed in his mind. He began comparing it to everything he had studied: colonial records, ancient texts, linguistic patterns. The deeper he looked, the clearer it became. There were gaps, deliberate gaps, entire histories rewritten to fit narratives that did not belong to this land. The name Africa, its origins traced back to outsiders, conquerors, empires, people who arrived long after the land had already lived thousands of years under a different identity. Cairo felt a rising anger, not just for the name, but for what had been lost with it. Languages dismissed, cultures diluted, histories fragmented, all under a single imposed word. word, the wind picked up again, carrying grains of sand across the landscape. For a moment, Cairo closed his eyes, and he saw it, not as it was, but as it had been. Vast cities, thriving civilizations, people who knew the land not as Africa, but as something original. When he opened his eyes, the vision faded, but the truth remained, and it was too powerful to ignore. The journey to the center Cairo packed quickly. The marked location on the map called to him with a silent urgency he could not explain. It wasn't curiosity anymore. It was something instinctual. The journey took days, across shifting dunes, through rocky valleys, and into regions untouched by modern roads. The further he traveled, the more the world seemed to change. Technology failed. Signals vanished. Even the air felt different, as if he was stepping outside the boundaries of time itself. At night, he dreamed. Dreams of voices speaking in languages he didn't understand, but somehow felt he did. Dreams of ancestors walking beside him, guiding him forward. By the fourth day, he reached it. A massive stone structure hidden within a canyon carved by time. It was waiting. The entrance stood tall, engraved with the same symbols from the monolith. Cairo approached slowly. His hand trembled as he reached out. The moment his fingers touched the ground trembled. A deep sound echoed from within like something ancient awakening. The doors began to open, and from the darkness inside, light emerged. The memory chamber. Inside the structure, the world changed. The walls glowed faintly, illuminated by symbols that pulsed like a heartbeat. The air was warm, filled with an energy that felt alive. Cairo stepped forward cautiously. The chamber was vast, far larger than the exterior suggested. At its center stood a circular platform, surrounded by towering pillars covered in inscriptions. As he approached, the symbols began to shift. Then, images, not illusions, memories. He saw the land as Alkebulan, green, thriving, connected. He saw civilizations rising, not primitive, but advanced in ways history books never acknowledged. Architecture that defied logic. Knowledge systems rooted in harmony, not conquest. He saw people, his people, living in balance with the land. Then the images changed. Ships arriving, flags planted, names rewritten. Africa. The word echoed like a command. Cairo's chest tightened. He watched as identities were stripped, replaced, reshaped. Not erased completely, but buried deep enough to be forgotten. The chamber fell silent, then the voice returned. This is what was taken, not just from the land, but from its people. Cairo stood frozen. This is why you were brought here. The choice of truth. The light dimmed, leaving Cairo standing alone in the chamber. Or so it seemed. The presence was still there. Watching, waiting. You have seen, the voice said. Now you must choose. Cairo swallowed hard. Choose what? Whether it remains hidden or is revealed. The weight of the moment pressed down on him. If he spoke this truth, he would challenge everything. Education, history, identity. He would face resistance, denial, even danger. But if he stayed silent, then the lie would continue. Cairo looked around the chamber, at the glowing symbols, at the memories of a land that had been renamed but not erased. About the name, Alkebulan. His fists tightened. I won't let it stay buried, the chamber responded. The symbols flared brighter, the ground vibrating with energy. The voice spoke one final time. Then carry it, speak it, restore it. A surge of light engulfed Cairo, and in that moment, he changed.
The return to a modern world. Cairo awoke at the edge of the desert. The structure was gone. The map, gone. But the knowledge remained, clear, unshakable. He returned to the city, but nothing felt the same. The noise, the crowds, the buildings. It all felt disconnected from the truth he now carried. Days turned into weeks. Cairo began to speak. At first, small conversations, then lectures, then broadcasts. He spoke of Alkebulan, of the original identity of the land, of the histories that existed before the name Africa was imposed. Some listened, some questioned, many resisted. But the idea spread, like a spark catching dry grass. People began to search, to question, to remember. Not just a name, but a deeper connection to the land itself. Cairo stood before a growing audience one evening, his voice steady, his eyes focused. "This is not about rejecting the present," he said. "It is about understanding the past." Silence filled the room. Then slowly, applause. The movement had begun. The name that lives on. The wind moved across the land once more. But this time, it carried something new. A name. Alkebulan. Cairo stood on a hill overlooking the vast landscape. The same sun setting in the distance, painting the sky in fire and gold. He was no longer just a historian. He was a messenger. The journey had changed him, not just in knowledge, but in purpose. The land beneath his feet no longer felt like a place defined by imposed identity. It felt alive, awakened. Around the world, the conversation had begun. Not everyone accepted it, not everyone understood, but the truth had been spoken, and once spoken, it could not be unspoken. Cairo closed his eyes, listening to the wind. For a moment, he heard it again, that ancient whisper, not distant anymore, but present, real. The land had always known its name. It had never forgotten. Only the people had, until now. And as the sun disappeared beyond the horizon, one truth remained, echoing across time itself. They may have renamed the land, but they could never erase what it truly is. If you enjoyed this story, like this video and subscribe for more African legends and forgotten histories. Share this story and tell us in the comments which African legend we should tell next.